Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to That's Football. I'm Mark Goldbridge for our watch-along of Newcastle against PSG in the Champions League. Can't wait for this. Newcastle back with Champions League football at St James's Park. Mbappe there. What an evening it's going to be. Can't wait for it. We'll get into the team news in a moment. But I tell you what, if you've been on That's Football over the last few days, you'll have seen the reaction and the videos that we've done in relation to the outrage and injustice around the Liverpool against Spurs game last weekend. That culminated today with Jurgen Klopp saying that, it won't happen, but a replay would be the best option. I'm going to just summarise the reaction to that, and then I'm going to give you get a big mic in your hand because it's going to be a massive mic drop moment. So, Jurgen Klopp said, look, the fairest thing to do would be a replay because the game has no integrity. As is predictable in life, all those fans and media people who have spent the last few days saying that VAR and the PGMOL are a joke, as soon as Klopp says replay, they pivot 100% and to the other way going, oh, everyone gets a replay, do they? So ridiculous. And basically turn on Klopp and Liverpool for saying there should be a replay. Throw their morals and their previous thinkings of the last few days out of the window, start thinking about themselves, make it about Liverpool, and completely let the PGMOL off the hook by talking about Liverpool wanting a replay. We've all seen that. Absolute joke. Ultimately, Jurgen Klopp could have asked for a Barbie doll, or whatever. It doesn't matter what he asks for. He's still right because he's not the one who has inflicted this travesty on the game. But this is the mic drop moment. Do you know why Jurgen Klopp is right to ask for a replay and everybody else saying, well, we should get a replay because we didn't get a penalty last week, or we should get a replay in the Champions League final when we played Liverpool, or we should get a replay because we had an offside last year. We should get a replay. What people are forgetting, and a big shout out to Paul who sent me this information this afternoon in a lot more detail. People aren't realising that what happened between Liverpool and Spurs is not the same as the red card that shouldn't have been a red card, or the handball that shouldn't have been a handball. This is unprecedented, and it defies the VAR's rules. Because within the VAR rules, it's not ideal, but they are allowed to be unwillingly negligent. So that's why you get an apology. If it wasn't a red card and they rescind it, they'll say, look, having reviewed it afterwards, they've got it wrong. They've not got it wrong on purpose, but they've got it wrong. We're sorry, your red card is rescinded. With a handball, they'll go, look, I know it cost you a goal. We got it wrong. We didn't mean to. We got it wrong. With the Liverpool thing, it's unprecedented because they didn't unwillingly get it wrong. They willingly got it wrong. This is not anything that's happened this season. This is completely and utterly unprecedented. Think about it. There's a red card for Gusto and they overturn it because they think they got it wrong. But what they'll say is the people on the pitch, the VAR, the referee, they acted in good faith, but technically they got it wrong. They didn't do it on purpose. The handball, they acted in good faith, but you know what? They did get it wrong. We're really sorry. The trouble with the Liverpool Spurs game is they willingly were negligent. They defied their own rules. They knew it should have been a goal and they played on purposely within a game scenario. So all these people who were saying, well, no, Wolves should get a replay then because they should have had a penalty against Onana. But the referee and the VAR officials in the game looked at it and thought, didn't think it was a penalty. On review, they were told it should have been a penalty, but they genuinely didn't think it was on the pitch. They were negligent, but it wasn't purposeful. In the Liverpool game, they've been willingly negligent. They willingly played on knowing it should have been a goal. And therefore, they defied their own rules. The only one I can think of that comes anywhere close to this was what happened in the Aston Villa game a few years ago with the goal line technology. And I don't know whether VAR was even in place then. I think it was was it Sheffield United where the ball had crossed the line? So what people aren't realising, what Gary Neville's not realising, what TalkSport aren't realising, what Sky aren't realising, what all these pundits aren't realising when they're ridiculing Klopp wanting a replay, is they're not realising, they'll go, oh, if you give a replay to Liverpool, you've got to give everybody a replay. The floodgates will open. But they're wrong because they've not thought it through. The floodgates don't open unless there is another game where the officials willingly play on knowing that they've got it wrong. And we've got the audio. We've got the audio. It's a goal. We need to give a goal. Delay, delay, delay. We can't do it. We can't do it. We have the audio of them willingly defy their own rules, willingly breaking the rules, willingly depriving a team of a goal. It's not it's they deliberately were negligent. And every other example people go on about, well, what about that Wolves game? What about that handball? What about that red card? It's negligent, it's incompetent, but it's not willing. It's just incompetence. They genuinely thought it should have been a red card. They genuinely thought it should have been a handball. But the difference with Liverpool and Spurs is, and this is why people have been getting very angry, and this is why, as a non-Liverpool fan, I've been very angry, is because they willingly played on in a game when they knew it was wrong. It was not, the word's not corrupt, but they broke their own policies. They broke their own rules, because every other mistake that VAR makes is because of incompetence. They're not doing it on purpose. They're just not very good at their job. But with that Liverpool game, they did it on purpose. It's unprecedented. It's not the same when people are going, well, if Liverpool get a replay, then I want a replay because Nketiah should have been sent off last week, or we should have had a handball against Spurs when Garnacho had the shot. It's not the same. It's not the same, Gary. It's not the same. This is completely and utterly unprecedented. So when Jurgen Klopp sits there and says, it should be a replay, but we won't get one, what he means is, what happened to us was willingly negligent. They knew it was a goal, and it was a goal, and they didn't let us have it. Think about that. Think about that when you're trying to compare it to a penalty you should have had or a handball you should have had. In that game, when Man United should have had a penalty against Spurs, did the VAR guy say, well, it is a handball, but we're not bloody giving it them. They're not having it. No, he didn't. In the Liverpool-Spurs game, did they say it was onside, but we're not letting them have it? Yes, they did. Not in those particular words, but they willingly did it. So, to all those people are out there who've pivoted and now are saying, no, Liverpool just want too much. Liverpool are bang out of order. If Liverpool want it, we should get it. They want too much. Just take a moment to think that this is actually very, very different to every other bad decision that's happened this season, because we've got the audio, and that's why Liverpool wanted it. Liverpool wanted the audio so that they could prove that this was different to everything else, because they were willingly deprived of a goal. They had the knowledge that they'd got it wrong. If I'm a Premier League referee and I give a red card, and I genuinely think it's a red card, and VAR looks at it and goes, yeah, we back you, it's a red card, and then Howard Webb pulls me in the office the next day and says, you know what, really, I don't think it was a red card, and we're going to drop it down to a yellow, and I'm going to apologise. I can see why you've done it, but in future, that's not a red card. All right, I got it wrong, sorry. But I did genuinely think it was. That's fine. This is completely different. And that is why Liverpool have got every right to ask for what they bloody well want. They won't get it. Klopp knows they won't get it. But it's worth thinking about, because the sad thing is it's moved away, hasn't it, today? It's moved away from everybody is behind Liverpool because it could happen to your team. And now people in the media are twisting it against Liverpool, saying, oh, it's ridiculous, it's going on for too long now. You've even got Neville coming out again and other people coming out again saying they've had their apology, they should move on. Why should they move on? Why should they move on from willing negligence? Why should they move on when they've got the audio of the officials knowing it's a goal and carrying on? It's very different to every other should have been a penalty, should have been a handball. I rest my case. The end. Arsenal versus Brentford, they forgot to draw the line, says Seb. I mean, yeah, that's last season, Seb. Now, whether you make a good point. Should Arsenal have pushed it the same way Liverpool should have done? I detect from the way Arteta was speaking, he thinks they should. But I don't know the full details of the Arsenal-Brentford one. In the sense that, how soon after they drew the lines wrong did they know they'd made a mistake? If it was during the game, you're right, it's willing negligence within the game. The problem with the Liverpool one is it was seconds. It was straight away. They knew it was a goal, it just didn't get given. In the Arsenal-Brentford game, Did they draw the lines and realise the mistake within 2 minutes? I don't know whether they did. If they did, it's the same. It's the rules, though. After play restarted, you can't go back. Rules need changing in future and maybe scrap VAR, says Alex. They willingly done it because of the protocol, Mark. Once the VAR ref realises that he'd fucked up, he can't go back because of the protocol. Klopp making sure that refs give them favourable calls in the future, says Miss Jackson. Thank you very much. We're ready to go for tonight's game. Can't wait for it. But I did want to just get that across, because what I cannot stand is when people start flip-flopping and changing their minds from something that's really important. And I felt that today it was drifting away from football's problem to Liverpool are knobheads. And I really don't think they are on this. I'd love to say it. I'd love to say Liverpool are knobheads. I don't want them to do well as a Man United fan. But I just don't agree with all these people jumping in the media going, oh, they're asking for too much. They've had their apology, move on. They're not understanding the point here. This is not a penalty or a handball or a red card that was given in good faith but by incompetent people. They willingly deprived them of a goal live on TV and the audio's there. It's very, very different. And anybody who starts saying, like a Spurs fan, we want the Champions League final to be replayed, it's idiotic. I didn't think it was a penalty in the Champions League final for Liverpool against Spurs, but it wasn't willingly done. They gave a penalty. They thought it was a penalty. In the Spurs-Liverpool game, the goal was scored. They know it should have been a goal, and they willingly stopped it. It's very different. So all these people who say, well, we want a replay, they're not understanding. You can't have a replay for a genuine decision that's incompetent. But Klopp is saying, well, we should get a replay because they did it on purpose. Like, they knew they'd got it wrong and they didn't do anything about it. Sick Bridge, hope you're feeling a bit better. We need Healthbridge back Friday for Goldbridge Ball. Did all right today, Gummy, but could do better. Unfortunately, it's easy to come out against the club rather than unify and fight for real change, says Noah. That's the disappointing thing, Noah. It's the fact that Klopp's being ridiculed now when actually he's absolutely correct. People just aren't intelligent enough to realise what he's saying. And he's been ridiculed. He's been ridiculed in this country today. You know, he's been ridiculed by Neville. He's been ridiculed by, Andy Goldstein on the bloody TalkSport. They've all ridiculed him, but actually they're the ridiculed ones now because they haven't done their own work, have they? They haven't thought it through. They're comparing it to, well, I want a replay because we should have had a handball, and they're completely missing the points. So, you know what? Klopp's beat him again, hasn't he, there? But we should all be behind. We should be behind Klopp, not because he's a Liverpool manager, because he's right. If that happened to Man United at the weekend, I know we should have scored a goal. And I've got the audio that they know we should have scored a goal and they didn't do anything about it. I'd be going on about it. Anyway, let's get into the game. I'm sure we'll cover it again. My nose is running like a tap. We're ready to go. The timer's ready to go. It's Newcastle against PSG in the Champions League. This is a huge game. Really excited for it. Mbappe in Newcastle. What's your score predictions in the chat? PSG line up with Donnarumma, Hakimi, Marquinhos, Skriniar, Hernandez, Dembele, Ugarte, Emery, Muani, Ramos, Mbappe. What a team. I want to spend a few minutes talking about PSG, but what a team on paper that is. And the bench is pretty good as well. Mukhail, Vitina, Danilo, Soler. They've got some good players, PSG, but it's a very different PSG. Newcastle, Pope, Trippier, Lascelles, Shaw, Byrne, Longstaff, Grimares, Tonali, Almiron, Isaac and Gordon. I thought Newcastle were really lucky against Milan, in Milan. But Nat5 says 4-0 Newcastle. I've been looking forward to this game tonight, and not because of Newcastle. I think it's a massive game for Newcastle, and all the best to them. They deserve this. They were brilliant last season, and they deserve this opportunity. But this is a new PSG. The demand to win the league with PSG win the Champions League over the last decade from PSG has been very real. And we've seen the Messi, Mbappe, Neymar era. I actually think that the approach of PSG now is really, really exciting. You know, they've gone a little bit more, even Verratti's gone for Ugarte. They've changed their philosophy. Mawani's there. Dembele's there. I think PSG, we talked about it last night with Man United, didn't we? The importance of balance. I think this PSG is more balanced than it's been in 5 years. It hasn't got the individual superstars, but it's more balanced. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how PSG do. I don't think they're going to win the Champions League. I think there'll be teams better than them. But it's an exciting new dawn for PSG as they become more of a team and less of a, individuals. I still feel Højlund was fouled against Arsenal, says Juan. Yeah, but it's... Yeah, okay. How was Goldbridge ball going today? Couldn't watch it. Did the Invisible Man come on again, says Yannick? Yes, he did. Fucking... That computer game has got more glitches than the Matrix. It's incredible. It's incredible that they sell that game. And actually, I'm glad I'm not part of the creator network, because I think all these people who get the game early and, thrive off it have a responsibility to people who are spending hundreds of pounds on that game to actually call out the fact that the game's not even fit for purpose because they haven't even fixed most of the problems with it. Disgusting. How many times things keep going wrong with that game. Yannick, thank you very much for that super chat, by the way. Hi, what was your reason for using demand in the title of your last video? Didn't seem like Klopp demanded anything. Sorry, no, you're trying to talk football, says Daniel P. What video? What? You don't understand? Oh, Klopp video. What did it say? Klopp demands replay. What's your definition of demand? Go and swallow a dictionary, you geek. Invisible Man is an ultimate team too, says James. Is it? Fucking hell. That's even worse. Putting a game out for no reason. Unbelievable. I'll tell you what, I read a really interesting... like we were talking about... I want to watch the game here. I'm really excited about this game, but really read something exciting today. Look, basically, I want Attenborough's job. I'd love to do Goldbridge in the wild, because I love nature and I'm very educated on it. Like, I know a polar bear could beat a hippo. I read something today, because I'm very learned, and that's why I wear glasses. But I read a lot about things. I'm interested in things, and I read something today that was a true story. Right, a film with Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas called The Darkness and the Ghost, or something like that, or Darkness and the Ghost. Some of you might have watched it. Darkness and Ghost are lions, and basically they were laying rail track in Africa in the 1800s. And obviously, when you're laying rail track, they have to camp, right? And these two lions, basically, Dembele! Oh, what a goal that would have been! What a goal that would have been! Lovely ball from the left-hand side by Mbappe to Dembele, and he hit it on the volley. I tell you what, I really like Dembele. Mbappe's a brilliant player, but I love Dembele. I think he's brilliant. Mark, I'm a Spurs fan, and I can see the argument for a replay because the 2 red cards shouldn't have happened in the VAR decision, says Gormless. Thank you very much for your super chat, pal. Anyway, these two lions are called Darkness and Ghost. And basically what happens is they eat... They estimate between 50 and 130 men in the course of this rail track being laid over a few months. 130, between 50 and 130. And it's a true story. And it's quite mythical in a sense, because lions don't normally attack humans unless they're provoked. And they were actually attacking humans and eating them, right? True story, and there's a film on it. That's it. Good evening, Mark. I'm loving your content at the moment. Much love from Scotland, and I'm a Falkirk fan, says Gregory. I can't think of a famous player who played for Falkirk, so let us know. Invisible Man for Ballon d'Or and my go Attenborough, says Liam. Amsey says, what about them United boys yesterday? Yeah, we're not talking about United. Samson says it is a true story, Mark. The man-eaters of Savo, the Ghost and the Darkness. Yeah, I'm going to watch the film. And also, they were both male, and they don't normally hunt together. It was a really mysterious story. Why were they attacking humans? Why were they attacking together? How did they do it over such a long period of time as well? Interview the Lion, says Red Olsen. Apparently they're in Chicago Museum now, dead. Stuffed. They were maneless as well, yeah. They're in Chicago, yeah. a lot of people, you're quite educated as well. Well done. They were very clever lions. Not only did they eat humans, apparently they used to read. And they were very, very sneaky. And they had a great sense of humour. Actually, and another twist, they didn't eat most of the people they killed. They just killed them. So they had this, like, people thought that they were like ghost lions who were against the commercialisation of Africa. It sounds like it's a story that would be, you know, on Channel 5, but it's actually true. Anyway, back to the game. RJ says the initial count was over 400. Gary Neville's ego is getting out of hand, says Alex G. It's the way he puts exclamation marks at the end of his statements, like the end. He really does think he's the Prime Minister of football. That's what I called him on Twitter today. King Gary, the Prime Minister of football. Well, all I'd say to Gary is, because he'll never have a conversation with me, is you need to think a little bit more before you tweet, because comparing it to every other VAR mistake, you've made yourself look rather uneducated, because, as I say, the Liverpool one is completely different because it's willing negligence. They knew they'd made a mistake and they didn't do anything about it. Whereas every other bit of incompetence is they genuinely think they're right. They're just crap at the job. Alex Ferguson played for Falkirk, says Gregory. I thought he played for St Mirren. Thank you very much for that. What about the soldiers that got eaten by crocodiles, says Gumpy. Tell us all about it. I don't know. Amatish says a tiger killed 436 people in India, and that's a record. Well, tell me more. I need more. I'm imagining a tiger with like an AK-47, like now, you know, chucking bombs into stuff. A unique biological trait of Savo lions is that they are maneless. The movie is okay, but I'm surprised you haven't seen it. Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas, says Bryce. I'm going to watch it because I do like Val Kilmer. I like a lot of his films. Hizza says, it's true, and I am the lion. Thank you. I haven't watched the Beckham documentary yet, Rory. I'm going to probably watch episode 1 tonight. I couldn't get to sleep last night till about 2 o'clock because all my nose was running, my eyes were watering. You know when have you ever had it when it's in the back of your throat and you can't breathe? Yeah, that's getting clipped. But you know what I mean. They call it nasal drip, which sounds as bad as it actually is, and I just couldn't get to sleep. You know when you're swallowing, you just can't stop swallowing. That's getting clipped as well. I'm genuinely describing my illness. Like I had really runny nose. I was swallowing every 2 seconds. You try going to sleep when you're swallowing every 2 seconds. It's really difficult. But hopefully tonight that won't happen. But if it does, I'm going to try and go to sleep watching Beckham's documentary. Please do subscribe to the channel, by the way, bottom right hand corner. I love That's Football. I think it's such a great community. It's so good. Absolutely love it. And I'll always love the United stand. It's my baby. I invented it. It's all the work. It's my club. I absolutely love it. But I've got to be honest, That's Football to me is just massively... I love it because it's just so enjoyable. I love football and I get to just watch and talk about football. It's great. Absolutely great. And can I just say, everybody who supports the podcast, you are absolute legends. Love you to death. The podcast was something I never really wanted to do, and thoroughly enjoying doing it. So if you are somebody who listens to it, out every Tuesday at 7 a.m. and we do a Friday one now as well, make sure you give it a listen. And actually, I'll whack it in the video description as well. It's pinned in the live chat. Give it a download for later. Your support means everything. Really appreciate it. And don't forget, on the podcast episode on Friday, just as a little giving back, we're giving away a code for EAFC. So don't forget to give us a follow on the podcast. A reminder for Friday, we're giving away a code on EAFC. So get ready for that. What do you think about the start to the show, Mark? Ryan Powell says, I love the podcast. We need to stop the 3 p.m. blackout. That's my next thing. You know, once VAR started, and I've been moaning about VAR for ages, you know I have. once the VAR stuff is sorted, and I think it will get sorted, I think we'll definitely get some improvement now. I'm moving on to that because I think it's bloody ridiculous in 2023 that in the UK you can't legitimately watch a game of football on at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. It's fucking ridiculous. Are you going to release the podcast to YouTube, says Dermot? We will do at some point. We just wanted to start off exclusively as a podcast. So, yeah. Would you go on Diary of a CEO, Mark, says MT? I tell you what, I think he'd do well to have me on it because the story from nothing to what United Stand and That's Football is, and basically it's been all me, is an interesting one. But I don't know. I don't think I'd get asked. We're not allowed to work remotely for the podcast, says Alex G. Isaac with the shot block. What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. I like the film. I like the Lion film clip. They were face to face with the lion and didn't shoot it, says Chris B. And as a Liverpool fan, I want to say thank you for putting your bias aside and wanting the greater good for all teams by calling these inadequate referees out. Much appreciated, says Gracie. Well, look, I've been clipped up quite a lot by Liverpool fans over the last few days. I'd appreciate it if somebody actually does clip up that bit at the start where I explain why this is unprecedented, because I think that will shut up a lot of people moaning about, oh, I want to replay, because I don't think they understand it. And that's why I wanted to say it at the start. So that's all I'm going to say about it. Let's watch the game. Mark, do you feel like you're a lion in the world of football journalism? Shot over the bar from Almiron. Yes, Mark, looking fit as always. I don't think I look that fit tonight. I've got a red nose. I'm like Rudolph. Got a cold. Do I feel like I'm a lion in the world of journalism? No, not really. I just think that, look, so many people copy what we do now. Like, if you go on YouTube and look for Newcastle versus PSG Watchalong, you'll find about 50. And so many of them copy this. So many of them copy this. That, to me, is, amazing. Because to start it all off, nobody did it. And to have so many people copying it, they'll never admit it. But I know it. You know it. That's, imitation is the biggest compliment, isn't it? So it's amazing. It's amazing what's been built. But in the general media world, I really don't give a shit. I don't know whether it's because of the jobs I've done in the past. I don't know whether it's because of the things I've been through in my family life and stuff. I think I understand what life's all about. And I think life's about, I don't think a lot of people realise it, I think life's about saying the things that you want to say and doing the things that you want to do. And basically not letting, people who think they're better than you get in your way. And I think in this space, in this industry, in the mainstream, you're taught to make the coffee and work your way up and respect people. But those people don't earn respect. So I think in this space, it's like what's happened with the VAR stuff. 20 years ago, we just have to listen to the mainstream telling us that, get on with it, accept the apology. So I think it's massively empowering what we can achieve collectively. And honestly, it's not that I don't respect these mainstream media pundits. It's just that I know I don't have to listen to them. I don't have to take their opinion on board. And if I disagree with it, then you should shout it out. And basically it's because I don't care. I don't give a shit. Like, at the end of the day, if I'm passionate about something, I'll say it. And I learn a lot from you lot because, as I said, it was Paul who messaged me about that thing I mentioned about Liverpool, and it absolutely opened my mind up to it. And I think football's in a good place in relation to fans finally having more of a say. I hope it can grow. Mark, VAR won't be getting any better, says Charlotte. PGMOL have come out and said no changes will follow as it's all human error. What are your thoughts, says Charlotte? Well, there needs to be some sort of revolution. And unfortunately, I think people are getting tired of it already. But I can't understand that. This is a goal for Newcastle. Oh, what a save by Donnarumma. Second chance. Goal! Almiron! That's a goal for a Newcastle. It's an iconic goal for Newcastle. It's absolutely huge. They've tried to pass out from the back. Are we going to see the end of passing out from the back? We're seeing so many errors these days. Newcastle have benefited. They're loving it. Look at the crowd. They're nearly crying. They can't believe it. Absolutely massive goal for Newcastle. Playing out from the back for PSG. Donnarumma makes a massive save, I think, from Isaac. But Almiron follows it in. And Newcastle take the lead. It's a huge game. It's a huge goal at St James's Park. But yes, as you can see, Marquinhos, they're trying to pass out from the back. It's a sloppy pass. Really sloppy. It comes to Isaac. Good save. Very good save by Donnarumma. He can't do much about the Almiron shot. Watch the first save. Watch this first save. Brilliant interception by Bruno Guimaraes. Brilliant hand by Donnarumma low down. You almost expect him to save the second shot because the first shot is so well saved. But he can't. It's a lovely finish by Almiron. He gets a hand on it. He does get a hand on it. Unlucky Donnarumma. But absolutely fantastic goal. What a start for Newcastle here. And Eddie Howe is up off his seat. And the Newcastle fans are singing. Mistake, trying to play out from the back. Opens it up. Newcastle scoring first is probably best. Thank you very much. Emad says, come on, Newcastle, this is for you. Well, they've gone and done what I wish United could do more often. Scoring the first fucking 20 minutes at home. They'll be buzzing now, though, Newcastle. I mean, look, there is an angle to this as well. We're watching Newcastle PSG and we're thinking what's going to happen. But let's not forget that Newcastle are trying to get out of this group. Dortmund are in it, aren't they? I think Dortmund are in this group. So Newcastle are trying to get out of this group, and to do that, they've got to win games, haven't they? They've got to go and win games, especially their home games. Just as a note in relation to this game, Dortmund and Milan is 0-0 at the moment in Dortmund. So they're playing. It's a cracking group, and Newcastle are going to need to win their home games. What someone said was right. Just search the Champawat tiger mark. She killed 436 people. Oh, there must be a film about that, Shri. That's not a serial killer, is it? 436. Bloody hell. Hi Mark, love all your channels and podcasts. Can you not do an episode with your family so we can learn to know your family more? Says we. I don't think they'd be very happy about that. They like their privacy. The film is called The Life of Pi. What a start to this game. Newcastle are buzzing at the moment. 20 minutes gone. Lovely goal. I'm a big fan of Donnarumma. I think he's a cracking goalkeeper, by the way. Do you ever play the old Championship Manager? I'd love to, Adam. I'd love to play the old Sensible Soccer as well. I just don't have time. Have you talked about Jurgen wanting us Liverpool Spurs replay? What's your thoughts on replays as a whole if they were to be implemented in the league? Says it's Louis. Yeah, we spoke about it for about the first 5 minutes. In a very concise point, Jurgen Klopp is right to ask for a replay because in every other bad decision, it wasn't done on purpose. So a handball or a red card, they're incompetent, but they don't do it on purpose. In the Liverpool Spurs game, they knew it was a goal and they purposely carried on. So Jurgen Klopp is right. It's completely unprecedented compared to everything else. So anybody else who's saying, well, I want a replay because we should have had a penalty against United, it's bullshit. And you've got people in the media saying that, and they've not done their own work. What happened to Liverpool was unprecedented because they knew it was a goal and they played on. Are you going to address the comments of fans? Says Jack. No, I'm not. I'm not here to talk about Twitter arguments. So if you want to deal with that, you go and speak to the people involved in that. I'm not addressing anything to do with that. Grow up. Hi Mark, O's fan here. Not sure if you saw what happened at the Orienton game last night, but there are problems with ref protocols beyond VAR as well. Ref didn't stop the game till the fans sat on the pitch. Wow. And Nick Pieces, we never do this at United. You know that small team, giant killing spirit where you come out and attack teams. It could take an acceptance. We're not good. Yeah, you're right, Nick P. I really appreciate your support for us in the VAR saga, says Andrew, who's a Liverpool fan. Mate, everyone should be supporting you. It pisses me off that they're not. Luke's a long struggling Southampton fan. Love the channel. Shout out to Luke. Well, everyone's welcome on here. That's the great thing about That's Football. Shot! Oh, for fuck's sake, I thought that was going in. What a shot. Who hit that? Who hit that? He was quite far wide, but it was a lovely hit. Emery. Jiminy says, all this VAR talk, but I haven't heard anyone in the media speak about Destiny getting discriminated against. I guess it isn't important enough. Adogi, says Jiminy. Well, yeah, you're not wrong. It's amazing how some things get picked up by the media and some things don't. Dun, 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 dun. I've seen this Newcastle on the attack here, and then I'll read it out. Ten Hag doesn't feel he can be as harsh in his criticism of some Man United players as he'd like because there are concerns about the fragility of their mentality. Fucking hell. Fucking hell. Is this kindergarten or Man United? So he wants to be a little bit more harsh with them, but he can't in case they get upset. Bloody hell. These people are on 200-300 grand a week. He can call me a wanker every minute of every day if I'm on 300 grand a week playing for Man United. You say what you like, Eric. I couldn't give a shit. Banter me, make me clean the ground. I don't fucking care. Unbelievable. I don't want to replay. I want PG, MOL and Premier League to pay compensation for incompetence like managers get fined, says Andrew. And is the tech for tennis 2? Oh, I thought it was 2-0. Short corner to the edge of the box from Shaw. Comes to Shaw. Hit it well. The net was rippling, but it went the wrong side of the net and hit the backboard and came back. Oh, it's not far off. Trevor Jones says, is the tech for tennis better than the footy? I mean, tennis seems to get them mostly right. What are your all's views on this, says Trevor? And hi, Mark. My friend Corey is getting married Friday and is a big fan of you and Man United. Can you give him a shout out and any marriage advice you have, says Travis. My genuine marriage advice is make sure you know in your heart you're marrying the right one, because it's not fair on you and it's not fair on them if you realise too late that it isn't. It's a coward who gets married to the wrong person, not a coward who stands them up. And yeah, good luck. I have a feeling AI will take over VAR, says it's Louis. PSG on the attack. Another shot from wide. It's a good game, It's a good game. Good game. That was potentially going in as well. It caught Lascelles and went for a corner. What was I going to say? I forgot. Celtic are beating Lazio. Oh, I think that what I was going to say is I think rugby's quite good when it comes to officiating. As somebody who doesn't understand everything in rugby, I love the way you're spoken to by the officials and the on-field referee. So I think that rugby is light years ahead of football. Light years ahead. The way that when a decision happens, you can actually hear them talking live. It just shows you how cowardly and incompetent footballing officials are. And they'll go, yeah, but rugby's a little bit more stop-start. Is it? Is it really? How often do we get VAR decisions? 2 or 3 a game if we're lucky. In rugby, you get a lot more. So it's bullshit. There are mistakes in rugby, but they are talking to you live. Rugby players are more respectful, Mark. I tell you what I do like about in rugby. I mean, it would be a bad idea with some of these dictator referees we've got because they think they're bloody Gary Neville. They think they're bloody it. But you know what they do in rugby? If you moan or anything like that, 10 metres closer. Imagine if you did that in football. You're gobbing off. Right, the free kick's 10 metres. Oh, it's into the penalty box. It's a penalty. City have scored, by the way. Literally no one cares, but I thought I'd just let you know. Oh, good defending again. I tell you what, Newcastle are defending really well, considering Botman's out injured. Shaw's just gone down here. Thoughts on the 2030 World Cup plans? First 3 games will be hosted in Argentina, Uruguay and Paraguay, and then the rest in Spain, Portugal and Morocco. I hate it, Ettore. Absolutely hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. Absolutely hate it. I don't mind one World Cup being done in one region, but South America and then Spain, that doesn't, I don't like it. At least the Euros has gone back to Germany, hasn't it? It's not across the whole of Europe. Son is injured. My club season is doomed, says Jiminy. How long is he injured for? Newcastle have played really well, I'm going to give them lots of credit. They're doing well. Hi, Mark. Me again, says Charlotte. Why do you think the media have come out across the board against any accountability for refs? It's not just TV media, it's print media, even online like The Athletic. Why? Because they're all in it together. Status quo. What people need to understand, Charlotte, is that the fans are the underclass. We're the shit on the shoe. We're the low-hanging fruit. We are the peasants. And anything that happens that empowers fans is dangerous to the status quo. And the status quo is the leagues, the referees, the media, the print media, the mainstream. They are all in it together. They all eat off the same table. We get the crumbs on the floor. The minute we're on their table, we're a danger. And this week, they'll have gone, this is getting out of hand. The fans are actually right, and there's a movement here. We need to shut this movement down. We need to work together to shut it down. And that's what you've seen over the last couple of days. It's like the status quo protecting itself. It happens all the time. Will there be any Cricket World Cup watch-alongs? Absolutely not. The Outlaw Gaming. No. Have you seen that they're making a West End musical about Southgate, says Biggie. It already exists. It already exists. My wife actually said to me a couple of months ago, do you want tickets to that? And I said, do I look depressed? She said, what do you mean? I said, what part of our marriage or my football life makes you think I want to go and watch a musical about Gareth Southgate's England? I don't want to watch Gareth Southgate's England. Adding a bit of bloody music to it's not going to make it any better. That's a genuine story as well. She was asking, do I want tickets to go and watch it? I went, absolutely not. I'd rather go and watch Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the musical. I've got no interest in Southgate the musical. I don't care who's doing the music. It could be classic Queen, and I wouldn't be interested. Hello, Mark. Thoughts on PGMOL omitting Michael Oliver's part in the VAO communication? Appreciate what you do and what you stand for. I don't know. Weston, I don't know what you're talking about in relation to Michael Oliver there. I don't know. Rather watch Cats, the musical, says Casual. Have you seen Cats, the film? Fucking hell. Quite possibly one of the worst films I've ever seen. Well, I didn't even watch it all. I turned it off. James Corden dressed as a cat. It makes you want to fucking throw up. Can you give out a shout out to Will Scott? Says Baby. There we go. Sure it's not Jill Scott. Mark, I've been through a breakup recently, says George. Yes, Agony Bridge. I'm not saying yes because you've been through a breakup, George. I just like these sort of questions. I want to say thank you. The sense of community... Oh, no, there wasn't a question. He's just wanting to say thank you. Okay, and the sense of community and conversations on your streams have been really helpful. Great stuff, George. Apologies. I thought you were going to ask me for a bit of advice. It really was just, I've been in a breakup. I'm not in a good place, and the community helps, which is great. I will give you a bit of advice, George. I've never been through a breakup, as you can imagine. Why would anyone want to break up with this? But I have been through grief, and I think it's quite similar. You've just got to get used to it. Keep yourself busy. Plenty more fish in the sea. Don't pay for it, and take your time. Take your time. Think a lot. Think of everything you've got. Because your dreams will still be here tomorrow, but she will not. Hi, Mark. If you could choose 3 celebrities to have a pint with, who would it be and why? Love the content, says Owen. You know what? The people I'd like to have a pint with are actually... I'm going to shock you here. There's an injury. I would love a pint with Gary Neville because he'd have to sit down and fucking have it. He'd be there trying to drink it really quick. So I actually would embrace the conversation with people who are scared to have the conversation. So I'd love to have a conversation with him. You never know, we might get on quite well. So I'd have Gary Neville there. I'd probably have Bex there to break the ice. I'd love to have a chat with him. And probably Gary Neville, David Beckham, and Hillary Clinton for the diversity. She's had an interesting life, you know. She had the old blowjob gate, didn't she? And nearly became president of the United States. That'd be an interesting chat. Hi, Mark. The ref makes the first mistake by misunderstanding the confirmation from the lines being drawn as offside, confirmation, and then it just snowballs from there, says Nigel Jones. Thank you, Nigel. Is it quite a bad injury here for Isaac? He's got a tissue on his head. He's not got a cold. It's a cut. In the World Cup, France scored against Tunisia. Goal was given and play resumed. VAR disallowed the goal after play resumed. Should have set precedent, says Paul. You know what else could have happened as well? We've seen it happen. It happened for Leeds, didn't it? Remember that game? Was it someone in the chat will know? Remember Leeds played that? Was that Leeds Aston Villa, where they scored a goal that was dodgy, and then they agreed to let the other team score? They just fucked up massively. They actually made it negligent, willingly negligent. Because, you know what? If the referee knew a goal hadn't been given, he could have blown the whistle, spoken to both managers, and said, there's an option here. I'm either going to break protocol, which I'm not really meant to do, or you can let Liverpool score a goal. You could have tried it. You could have tried it. I found love. Why am I singing Ronan Keating? Keating. Oh, God. Do you think PSG will get back into this game, Goldbridge? Well, no, I'm not going to disrespect Newcastle. I mean, they could get back into the game, but... just if you're tuning in a little bit late and you want to know why everybody's wrong and Klopp's right about a replay, I've just retweeted a little clip that summarises it really well. It's on my Twitter at Mark Goldbridge. Oh, please do subscribe to the channel, by the way. Bottom right-hand corner to do it. You're very welcome. We've got nearly 20,000 watching on a Champions League night. This weekend is big in the Premier League. Talking about Liverpool, we're going to do Brighton-Liverpool at 2 o'clock on Sunday, straight after Man City-Arsenal. How big a game is that? It's huge, but how big a blow is it that Saka won't play? Are you going to do a Saturday game, Mark? Well, United are playing at 3 o'clock, so the only one I can really do, because the half-5 one's shit, is potentially Luton Spurs, but I don't know whether that's worth doing at 12:30 on a Saturday. I don't think it is, if I'm being honest. Crystal Palace Forest is the half-5 game. He's got to book him here. He's going to book him. Surely Hernandez gets booked there. Yeah, yellow card. Tripped Ulmer on the edge of the box. Mark, thanks for all you do. If you could choose any sport other than football to build your career around, what would you choose, says Joe? Snooker. That shocked you. I like snooker. I do like snooker, yeah. Imagine if I got involved with snooker and loads of people started liking it because of the way you know. Oh, he's bloody missed it. What a prat. I'd love it. Just like snooker. F1's too boring. If it was good, I'd like it. But it's boring. You look like Neil Robertson. I don't. I like Neil Robertson. That's snooker, says MG. I'd like to do a snooker watch along. They take hours, but there'll be a lot of good stories about. I'd be able to do lots of my wildlife stories. Cross comes in. What a save by Donnarumma. There was a bit of a shout from Newcastle for another shot by. Tell you what, Newcastle are close to a second goal here. What a save! He's giving it. He's giving it. It's 2-0. He's giving it. Hakimi's saying I handballed it. You can't give the goal. Fucking hell. PSG are owning up to a handball here. What's going on? Hakimi's saying I handballed it to try and get the goal given at not given. Or is he trying to say there's a handball? No, he wants a handball on a Newcastle player. Donnarumma's making saves here. Unbelievable. No, he doesn't save that. That's definitely over the line. That's over the line. 100%. GDS. I think VAR might be looking about a handball in the build-up. That's a goal, says Fennick. They're doing a goal check on VAR. Well, they know it's crossed the line, so they'll be looking at an offside here. I mean, a handball. They're a lot quicker on VAR. It's whether he handballs it. Well, that's not what... They're not looking at that. No, he's not offside there. That's miles over the line. You can see that. I think it's going to be a goal. They're looking for all sorts of stuff here. It's definitely onside. Looks onside, says Ryan. He's giving it. Is he giving it? It's the only thing for me is whether there's a handball, which they haven't shown us the camera angle of, which is what Hakimi was asking for. And they haven't shown us that. So I think Newcastle might be okay here because I can't see an offside. It can only be... The only problem I had was maybe there was a handball on the first cross into the box. It's taken a long time. You know, you've got to get it right. I forgot Luis Enrique was PSG's coach. I've got a question on snooker in the chat. I've got to hold off. I've got to do this first. Long time checking here. Long time. Subscribe while you're waiting. Bottom right hand corner. He's confused. What's going on, pet? I've got to get home and watch Ant and Dec. Goal, 2-0. He's giving it. 2-0 to Newcastle. It's a big moment. It took a long time. I can only give them credit. Can only give them credit. It's absolutely incredible what they're doing here. Marquinhos is furious. It's interesting. My only criticism of the Champions League footage is that you don't get to see. Here we go. Oh, well, it looks like a double handball to me. Well, I think that's a handball, isn't it? I'm surprised they've not given that. I'm surprised they haven't given a handball there, one way or the other. That's not offside. And it's over the line. Yeah. I don't do the score. It changes itself. It'll do it in a minute. Yeah, definitely onside, as we can see. Who's your favourite snooker player and what are your opinions on Selby? I think he's boring. Please do a Crucible watch-along. Well, I liked that final the other night because I do like Williams. I like Higgins. I like Selby. I like Robertson. I like Wilson. Yeah, they're probably my favourite. I don't mind Ronnie. But I think he's a bit erratic. Dan Burns scored. Your favourite player, says Chad. Let's see where he is in a year. Not been impressed with PSG so far. You know what's happening to PSG? They're getting smothered. They're getting... this is exactly what Newcastle needed to do. And it's what Manchester United failed to do. You've got to use your home support. You know, people go, oh, Galatasaray away is really hard because of the atmosphere. Well, Newcastle away is bloody hard because of the atmosphere. We see it in the Premier League. And it'll be 10 times worse in the Champions League. And the players respond to that. It's a magical night, says Wahida. It is. I think he's talking about the game, but who knows what's going on in his bedroom. But it is. It's an amazing atmosphere, and it gives you a big, intimidating... I mean, look, I've seen it at Old Trafford in the past. Anfield has always been famous for it, European nights. There's something about European nights under the lights that can really... ignites a team. And you know, Newcastle were very lucky in Milan, but they're not lucky tonight. Sam says it was a handball. I think in the Premier League it would have been a handball. This is crazy, says Yusuf. 20,000 watching. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. Bottom right hand corner. There's always differing rules in Europe to what you're used to in the Premier League. For me, when that cross came in, it definitely hits the hand of Lascelles. So, but you know, understanding the handball rules these days is it's never easy. We don't have that VAR technology for offsides, no. I've not watched the Beckham documentary. I'm going to watch episode 1 tonight. It's so hard to watch this as a United fan. Look at the energy and passion, says Riker. I hope you're not putting it on the United fans, because Newcastle on the pitch are giving the fans, you know, you can't start a fire. You can't start a fire without a spark. And that Newcastle stadium can't be on fire without the spark on the pitch. And United's crowd will react like that if they get a spark, but they don't get a spark. Have the VAR officials for the Liverpool game been suspended, Mark? I think 2 of them have, Tom. OJ says the handball should have been given. It doesn't land where it landed if it didn't hit the ball, and that changed the direction of the ball. I think the Premier League rejected this technology, didn't they? Riker's talking about the players. Sing an Ollie Murs song. There's no amount of super chat that gets me to sing that. What a cross. Good punch away by Pope. Still don't think this game's over, by the way. I still think PSG have got a goal in them, and then 2-1 becomes dangerous, doesn't it? Big break, Mark. Classic. It's only a game show, says Farms. It's only a game, so put up a real good fight. I'm gonna be snookering you, snookering you. Saturday night TV in my day was great. Put your top on. No one wants to see your tits. What is it about Newcastle fans and getting their top off? Wasn't it a Newcastle fan who did the windmill? Remember that? A few years ago. They just like taking the clothes off. I don't know why. It's bloody freezing up there, apparently. PSG are being United so far and Mbappe's being Rashford, says Sanyik. Here's a good question from Ahmed. Do you support English clubs in the Champions League? I basically do it on a case-by-case basis. I find anybody who definitively supports an English club in Europe, no matter who it is, as a bit of a prat. Because where's your rivalry? Like, I'm not going to support Liverpool. I'm not going to support Arsenal. And I'm not going to support Man City. I'm probably... Chelsea, I'm a bit indifferent towards. Depends who the manager is and what I think of the team. Spurs, don't care if they do well. Newcastle, as long as they're not playing us, don't really care. Aston Villa, Brighton, want them to do well. So it depends how much of a rival they are, really. I don't exclusively want them to do well in Europe, English teams, but I don't exclusively want them to do bad. Have you watched Phenomenal? No, have you watched Chernobyl? Phenomenal show, says Dan. Yeah, I watched that years ago. I wish United players had this passion, says Lloyd. Well, why don't they? It's inexcusable. Newcastle leading PSG is a reason why Mark can be over the top with his criticism of Ten Hag sometimes. What hard work can do, says Ola. They need to get the ball to Dembele a lot. I like Dembele, and up against Dan Burn, he should be sending him back to wherever he came from. Do you have a pet? If not, which one would you want, says Little Dragon. We got a cat, we got a dog. 7 minutes added on, there was a few injuries. I'm going to have a little walk. Oh, I'm not well. I'm not well, you know. I'm really not well. Oh, I'm so bunged up. My nose is constipated. Newcastle's the new Man United. And United is the new Tottenham, says Shan. Well answered, Mark. Good question, says James C. Why does no one care about Man City, says Giovanni? I don't actually know, but I couldn't give a shit. There was absolutely no part of me that thought... I don't even know who they're playing. So Man City are playing against Leipzig. I've just got I've got absolutely no interest. I'm not being a hater. I just don't. I generally have very little interest in Man City. I just don't. PSG haven't had a shot on goal, says Wolf. We'll have a look at them stats at half time. 2 more minutes to go here. Just remember the World Cup. Mbappe can turn it on at any moment. This game is not over, says Agar. I agree. Ashik says, are you going to do a Europa League watch-along? Are you mad? I'd rather watch my cat have a shit watch-along. Oh, good block. I got knee interest in it. Celtic are drawing 1-1 with Lazio, by the way. Dortmund 0-0 with Milan at half-time. Corner to PSG here. Cross comes in. Back post. Newcastle will bring that away. Yeah, they need a good talking to here, PSG. What's your thought on Jim Bowen's bullseye, says David? I used to enjoy it, yeah. And what's your opinion on the 2030 World Cup being held in 6 different countries? I think it's absolutely stupid. Absolutely stupid. I really, really do. Another player down injured here. Referees had a busy half. I think they've got stuff right. He's given a yellow card to Bruno Gomes. I think they've got a lot of it right, but who knows? God. This bloody cold. This bloody cold. Half time, Newcastle fans are. He's got his top off and he's painted himself black and white like a zebra. Don't walk across the road. You'll get run over. No. The traffic will stop. You'll be fine. Got that wrong. Yes, it is half time here, and it's a fantastic half of football from Newcastle in the sense that they're 2-0 up, and they've been completely and utterly deserving of that so far. It's pure passion, but you've got to have skill with the passion. Just check those stats. I'm just going to grab myself a tissue. There we go. Fresh half time there. Okay, so bloody hell, 69% possession for PSG, 31% for Newcastle. You wouldn't have necessarily thought it was that type of a half, would you really? But then Newcastle have had 8 shots with 4 on target, and this is where hipsters need to be very, very careful, because watching that game, there is absolutely no way that I don't think that that Newcastle deserve to be leading 2-0. But you look at those stats and you'd go, well, look, 300, I mean, that's ridiculous. 304 passes to 140. 85% pass accuracy to 73%. No shots on target. And this is where people can get lost in possession and playing out from the back and playing good football. That looks very good for PSG. 69% possession, your pass accuracy is good, way more passes from them, but nothing, passing with no purpose, a sophisticated pig. And you're absolutely correct. You're a very clever pig, because it's true. And 31% possession is shit. But it doesn't feel like they've had 31% possession, because they've been efficient in the transition and they've created lots of chances. So this is what I mean. Like, some people get obsessed with passing accuracy and possession, and possession without purpose, exactly, is what I was trying to say. Mark, I know your favourite Italian team is Juve. You will see a different and better Juve when we sack our current coach. He is unwilling to adapt, says Abdoulaye. Thank you very much for that. I thought you were going to say your favourite Italian thing is lasagna. And the Bad Alf says there's a bullseye game based on the game show on Nintendo Switch. I think that's weird. Thank you, Bad Alf. Mbappe is playing, just not playing very well. And I have to get up at 5 a.m. to drive to Land Rover up by you. Any tips for an early, long drive, says Treble Champ. Listen to the podcast. Yeah, I think podcasts are brilliant when you're driving, because listening to music or the radio, you've always got adverts and stuff. Listen to the podcast, Goldbridge Saves Football. We've got loads of episodes. If you've listened to them already, listen to them again, because I actually find that the second time you listen to it is the best time, because there's hidden layers to it where you'll go, oh, I didn't catch that the first time. So there you go. Listen to Goldbridge Saves Football, the podcast. The link's in the live description, and get it downloaded and listen to later. I'd say you could listen to it before you go to bed, but it's way too stimulating intelligence-wise. Your brain needs to relax before you go to bed. Probably listen to Gary Neville's before you go to bed, but mine, don't listen to it before you go to bed, because it will just get your brain popping. You know, everywhere you'll be like, oh my god, there's so many possibilities. This is amazing. We're giving away EAFC codes on Friday, by the way, on the podcast, so make sure you give it a download. Thanks for all your support. I want to take it on tour next year, so please do start listening to it. Newcastle are top of the group here. We go. This is PP. Look, Newcastle are doing very, very well. I don't think anybody can deny that. They're thoroughly deserving leaders at half-time. Let me just give you some of the other scores at half-time. But Christopher's done a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, greetings from the US. I watched your opening take, and if Liverpool replay is deserved, then United deserve a replay for the disallowed Garnacho goal versus Arsenal, says Christopher. Why? Why? No, Christopher, I think you're becoming Neville here. You're not listening to the facts. Like, Liverpool Liverpool won't get a replay, but if they get a replay, they probably should, because it's completely different to every other VAR mistake. All these Wallies saying, well, if Liverpool get a replay, I want a replay because we should have had a red card last week or we should have had a penalty. They shouldn't. Liverpool's is completely different. The only thing that's close to Liverpool's is the Arsenal one last year. And the reason Liverpool's is different, as I say, is because they willingly were negligent. Normally, they're just incompetent when they give a wrong red card or a yellow card or whatever. But in the Liverpool game, they were willingly negligent. They knew it was a goal and they played on. That's why. Maybe it's just me, but from past shows, when you say the name Szoboszlai, it sounds like you're saying it in a Brummie accent, says Nick Pitt. Well, I don't know how to say Szoboszlai. If I say Szoboszlai, it's wrong. So apparently it's lie at the end. So I go Szoboszlai. And it probably does sound a bit Birmingham, yes. You're right. You're right. Well observed. Well observed. Other Premier League games, none. Other Champions League games, Celtic are 1-1 against Lazio. They took an early lead in the 12th minute, but Vecina equalised in the 29th minute. Newcastle are obviously 2-0 up. That's our featured game. Foden scored for Leipzig in Germany. He didn't score for Leipzig. He scored against Leipzig. Man City lead 1-0. Atletico Madrid have already played their game, and they won 3-2 against Feyenoord. Royal Antwerp lost at home to Shakhtar Donetsk 3-2. Dortmund and Milan, who are in the PSG group, is 0-0. Red Star Belgrade are beating Young Boys 1-0. And Porto Barcelona is currently 1-0 to Barcelona. And that's where we're at the moment in the half times. There are some other games going on. I didn't even see yesterday's game. Oh, I need to check something. I completely forgot. Yes, Solihull Moors won 2-0. Back of the net. There are other games going on today in the Championship. If you're interested, Leicester are 0-0 with Preston. Sunderland are beating Watford 1-0. Leeds are beating QPR 1-0. And yeah, that's about it of interest. Stabæk beat HamKam 5-2 in the Norwegian Elite Sprien. And there is MLS football tonight at 12:30. Does anybody watch that? I don't know. World Cup multi-country rubbish. Absolute shite, mate. Can't believe it. Hi, Mark. Do you think there is an absolutely no way back for the Glazers? I thought the same about Arsenal a few years ago. What would have to happen? Says Johans. I don't want to talk about United massively, but we did play in the Champions League last night and we were absolutely shit. We get turned over at home more often than a pancake, and it's not good enough. Galatasaray deserve to win, but Kroenke is not the Glazers. The Glazers are a bloody nightmare. The debt is huge. They've been here a lot longer. Nothing changes while they're in charge. Have you had any near misses with cyclists or scooter riders wearing all black in the dark, says Kenneth? No, because that would be stupid on their part. I mean, look, that is a handball. I can't believe they've not given that. I tell you what, I've got to stop myself here. On the slow-mo, I can't believe they've given that second goal. I can't believe it. He literally almost catches it accidentally. It's definitely a handball. I mean, maybe we're indoctrinated into the Premier League, but it's definitely a handball, in my opinion. Do you have any interest in being a professional manager, says Derek? Well, I think everybody knows I'd be very good at it, but I just wouldn't have the time. Can't wait for the Super Bowl and Usher's performing, says Sam. I like doing my Super Bowl watch-along. I think I do it on here, don't I? A few people saying Bruno should have got a red card. Didn't see it. Apparently it was a different phase of play. Oh, Ben, I can't be bothered with this shit. How do they define a different phase of play? I mean, that's bullshit as well. Absolute bullshit. Mark, like me, are you a little underwhelmed by the top teams in the Champions League this year? I haven't been impressed by Bayern or Madrid, says Matt. I think Man City are massive favourites, mate. Yeah, massive favourites. What were we talking about before that? Have you seen Mansfield Town is the only team in the 92 to be unbeaten in all competitions? And if so, what are your thoughts on Mansfield Town, says JJ? Is it still managed by Nigel Clough? I always like Nigel Clough to do well because his dad was a genius and he is currently the manager of Mansfield Town, yes. Makes me feel old that Nigel Clough is now 57. What was I talking about before like that? I can't remember. Can you remember? I can't remember. I mean, look, on Bayern, I would have thought this season they'd be... Because I thought they played quite well against Man City last season, but they didn't have a striker, and Upamecano was shit. So they bought Kim Min-jae and Kane. It should make them better. I suppose it wasn't phaser play or red card. It was something before that. I think that also with PSG, let's not forget, Harry Kane is quite a big purchase, and it will take a little bit of time for it to do. Oh, scooter near misses. Ryan, you're a legend. So somebody said, have you ever had any cyclist or scooter near misses when they're riding around in the dark in all black? I don't look like Philip Schofield, Neo. Is that classed as a near miss? Because that sounds like Pratt behaviour if you go out on a bike in all black in the dark. So I wouldn't class it as a near miss, really. But I did have 2 near misses this week, and I don't know what's going on. And maybe, I know a lot about nature, right? I know a lot about nature. And I don't know whether we can get an answer on this in the chat, but I've noticed a lot of dead squirrels on the road this week. And twice this week, I've nearly run over a squirrel. Me and Seb were driving back from football on Sunday, and as we went down this road, a squirrel came running out, and literally, we both were like... waiting for the bump. We didn't get a bump. I looked out the windscreen, the mirror, and I saw it running across with its tail up in the air, arrogant. And I thought, you don't know how lucky you are, you little shit. He probably thinks it was a standard crossing. He fucking was so lucky. He came running across, and all I can think is, he's just got lucky. Like he's in the middle, and he's got away with it. But you should have seen his face as he got to the other side. He genuinely thought he'd done well. No, you're so lucky. You could have been dead. But I have seen a lot of dead squirrels at the moment, and I'm just wondering why. And I'm thinking autumn. Oh, the squirrel in between us is funny. Fire up. I'm thinking autumn nuts. Are they busy collecting nuts before do they hibernate? I don't know, but I've seen a very big increase in dead squirrels over the last week. Explain that one, David. Replay the Chelsea versus Barca 2009 semi-final. It says dehydrate. Yeah, you don't get it. So, anybody who's saying, well, I want a replay for this, I want a replay for that, you need to listen to the first few minutes of the show and educate yourself. You don't get a replay because a referee made a decision in error. Klopp is saying they should get a replay because the decision wasn't made in error. It was made on purpose. That's what people aren't realising here. I want a replay because we should have had a handball. I want a replay because we should have had a penalty. That's not what he's saying. This wasn't incompetent error. It was negligence purposely. That's what he's saying. So before you start arguing about it, educate yourself on why he said it. Sounds like incompetent cyclists, says Eggy. Snooker, on the telly. What's all this about? It's that good, they're showing a table at half-time on the Champions League with Alan McManus in a Ralph Lauren shop. Join me, Alan McManus, for some snooker this week in the English Open. I'll be watching Ronnie and I'll be getting excited, so tune in. Leipzig have scored 1-1. Nobody can solve the squirrel mystery. Goldbridge comes out of retirement. Detective Goldbridge is on the streets of Solihull to solve the squirrel mysteries. Goldbridge have found another squirrel flat on the road. Why are all these squirrels here? Is there a top shagger squirrel that 9 months ago just basically shagged every squirrel, and now we've got a squirrel infestation? What's going on? Don't know. Also, don't know whether it takes 9 months for a squirrel to give birth. Basically, I think a squirrel's a rat with a bushy tail. A pigeon is a rat with wings. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of squirrels. I hope Newcastle win now. United are done, says Average Noob. Do squirrels hibernate? Does anybody care? Anyway, the second half's about to kick off here. Almiron's got one. Dan Burns got one. Come on, you magpies, says Steve, who's a Liverpool fan. And it burns, burns, burns like a burning ring of fire. Squirrel's nothing like a rat, says D. Oh, God, I've upset the squirrel fan club now. They look like rats with a big bushy tail. Little shits. They're show-offs as well. I think squirrels are arrogant. Look at me, I can jump from a tree and I can run up a tree and I can do it carrying a nut. Yeah, well, I can wipe my arse in the shower. I've never done that. That's just disgusting, isn't it? Although I suppose it's a glorified bidet. I'd never use one of them either. Although sometimes you just can't get it clean. Get the shower head up there, that's what I say. Anyway, second half has kicked off. This bloody nose. Ash has got 2 questions. Have you noticed? Do you think Eddie Howe would have fared similar to Ten Hag if he joined United? No. Eddie Howe's got a really good structure above him. And who do you think will be the next team to win the Premier League title after City? I think it will be Newcastle, says Ash. You know what? I actually put this question to Will on the podcast about a month ago, and it was a very good question. And it was an either or. And basically, I said, who will win the Premier League title first, Arsenal or Newcastle? And Will said Arsenal, because obviously Arsenal at the moment are better than Newcastle. But I said Newcastle because, and he said why? And I said because I think Man City will win the league for the next 3 years. So it doesn't matter how good Arsenal are now. It's who's going to win the title in 4 or 5 years. And Newcastle, I think, will be better then. And that's what, again, it's a bit like what Klopp said about the replay. People don't think it through. They think, well, we want a replay for a handball, and they don't think, well, no, it's very, very different what Klopp is saying. And that's what I mean. Who's going to win the league next, Arsenal or Newcastle? It's quite an intelligent thing to say. I think it'll be Newcastle because I think Man City will win it for the next few years. Anthony Taylor's a disgrace. He's given Barcelona 6 yellow cards already, says Epps. Well, I said I think Wrexham will win the Premier League before Spurs. That's not going well. Well, then again, I played the long game. Picasso says, did you miss me? This knobhead cost me a goal on my career mode today. I mean, it's my fault, but he distracted me. I got timed out for praising you on UPTV, says Partip. They're such bitter haters on there, mate. There's something about other United content creators that can't stand the United stand. I think it's just success. I just find it hilarious. What they don't realise is that a lot of people probably only watch their channel because they started with the United stand. Mating season, they dart to the centre female, says Ridge D. Ridge D has solved the squirrel crisis. Oh, that's sad. They're on the way for a shag and they get run over. Squirrels are pretty cute. Glazers out, says Jenya. They're rats with wings. I'm telling you now. They're not rats with wings. Squirrels. Rats. Are squirrels related to rats? They are rodents. They are, told you. They are rodents and close cousins to other rodent species such as rats and mice. Give me a virtual high five. I told you I'm educated. I'm very good at nature. I support Man United because of my granddad, but I'm very good at nature because of him. He used to take me on these walks all the time, learning about nature. I mean, a lot of the time I was bored. I'll admit that, but sometimes I was interested. I was like, can't we watch the football instead? Can we watch 101 Great Goals? Ronnie Radcliffe. No, we're going to go out and find this bird. It's really, really rare. Yep, so it's official. Squirrels are related to rats. And squirrels don't hibernate. They're active all day, all year round. Mark, do you like beavers? Says Jack. Hilarious. I wonder if Jude and Erling have ever talked to Sancho about the stuff he's going through, says Asif. Oh, I bet they have. A lovely ball. Great. It's a goal! It's 3-0. Oh, my God. It's Happy Toon, or should I say Happy Town, or should I say Happy Toon? It's a goal for Longstaff. It's 3-0. I actually think this goal is Donnarumma should save it. He's had a good game, and I thought he had saved it. He shouldn't be getting beat from that angle, but you can't take it away from Newcastle. He's in the position to take a shot from the angle, and it's 3-0. I think you've got to say now PSG are going to really struggle to get back into it, because 3-0 is going to be a bloody hard comeback. But Donnarumma has made a massive mistake there. Enrique's saying, get your heads up. But, well, it comes from Mbappe's unwillingness to track back, really. Trippier has been left, and they end up in a 3v2. Shouldn't get beat from there, though. He's hit it well, but shouldn't get beat from there. Another assist for Trippier, by the way. He can't stop scoring, getting assists at the moment. Wow. Game over, surely. Newcastle on fire. Oh, God, I'm fading out. Newcastle fan, I'd sacrifice Howe for England. Tactician, says Mac. Yeah, well, I think really Potter or Howe for England is definitely the way to go. Jenya says squirrels are cute rodents. Newcastle in, Glazers out. And Mark, do you remember the Ginger Longstaff? I wonder what happened to him. The B-Tech brother who spantered us. I do, Nick. I remember that one. Hi, Mark. Not really a good day for me. I've been ill and lost someone close to me, but this is a good temporary release. Thank you, says Daniel. Well, we can be ill together, Daniel. And I'm sorry to hear about your loss as well. As I said earlier when I was doing my FIFA stream, the easiest thing to do tonight would have been to go to bed early, hot cup of Ovaltine. Oh, what a drink that is. Only goats know what Ovaltine is. And, watch the David Beckham documentary. I was like, no, I want to watch this game of football. I'm going to battle through it and do a watch-along and talk about football. That's what we do. PSG are overrated, says... who said that? John T. Who's called John T these days? I'm not slagging it off. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. When I was a kid, people who got called John T were posh people who were called Jonathan. Yeah, well, I did say about PSG, I felt that it was going to be a very interesting night because they're going through a different direction, aren't they? No longer are Neymar and Messi there. It looks more of a French balanced team, but it don't look good. I mean, if Newcastle can do this to them, Man City will do it. Arsenal will do it. So it's not looking good for PSG. I used to love nature. I once scared my big sister with a snake skin. She was very scared of it, but it was funny. Years later, she told me it was a used Johnny, says Matt. It's been a big bloody Johnny. Horlicks. Always preferred Ovaltine. I don't even know if they sell it anymore. I haven't seen it in the shop for years. It's probably bad for you. Reminds me of my gran. My dead gran. We should have buried her with some Ovaltine. Hey, that reminds me, actually, I think I've told this story before. I remember we were having Christmas dinner a few years ago at my house when I was younger. And I mean, when I say younger, I wasn't like 8. I was still like probably in my 20s. And there was quite a few people around for dinner. And we... I can't remember who she was. I think she was like my brother-in-law's gran. And she'd just lost her husband. So she came round for Christmas dinner. And she was talking about when they buried him. And basically she said that she'd got onto this conversation because it was Christmas dinner and there was bread sauce. And she said, oh, he loved bread sauce. So everyone's like, oh, God, here we go. Let her talk about it. And she said, yeah, he loved bread sauce. I buried him with a packet. And it was like, oh, right. What else did you bury him with? A gravy boat. And she did bury him with all the things he liked. So he had a packet of bread sauce. I think he had a packet of Werther's Originals. A bottle of stout. I was just getting worried that she was going to give him a porn mag or something as well. I mean, I don't know what he was going to do with it, but, you know, apparently this is quite common for people to do it. I suppose it's only the same as what they used to do with the Vikings, isn't it? You know, the Vikings used to get buried or burned with their sword and their shield. You know, the equivalent of that is bread sauce and a bottle of stout. Can PSG get back into this game? I don't know. I doubt it. Newcastle have defended very well, and let's not forget, Newcastle traditionally do defend quite well. So I can't see PSG getting back into it, really. I think he's offside there. I think he's offside. I mean, I've literally just said I don't think they'll get back into it, but to me, look, miles offside. This is why Mbappe needs to leave PSG, says Logan. Yeah, he does. I think this is offside. I don't think this is a goal. Looks miles off, says Crispy. Yeah, I think he's off. It's Hernandez who makes the run. Yeah, he's off. He's off for me. It's tight. It's very tight. That's what she said. But I think he's off. Lovely goal. I'll tell you what, it's a brilliant goal if he scores it. Because it's like that little dink in FIFA, isn't it? You know, L1, forward run, triangle over the top. But I think he's slightly offside. It'd be nice if he wasn't offside for the game. But I think he is. Oh, he's giving it. Giving it. Onside. Defo off, says Oliver. This is what I mean about... it's like the Garnacho one with Man United and Arsenal. You can't trust the camera. Because the angle of... You think about it. The camera is not straight. I'm not saying it's like homosexual or anything like that. What I mean is the camera is never straight looking down. It's always looking at an angle. So you can't ever determine really what it is. We'll see it in a minute. Mawani's come off here and Barcola's come on. Bradley. So we're back to a 2-goal now. And there's still half an hour to go. So PSG could still get back into this. Might have a good game going on here. Far side is where you need to go with that pass. And he's got it. And it will go for a corner. Phoenix says, I said PSG 3, not Newcastle. 3-1, not Newcastle. Well, I don't think it's going to finish 3-1 either. Who scored? It was Hernandez, the left back. Slightly onside. Well, it will be onside. Newcastle fans will be going, that's offside, that's offside. This ain't the Premier League. You don't need to worry. They won't get. They won't have got it wrong with their system. But we haven't seen it back yet, and that always makes you feel dubious. Shot from distance, Hakimi hit it quite well, goes for a corner. Any advice for a fellow YouTuber, Mark, says Sport? What advice do you want? What advice do you want? Any advice for a YouTuber? I suppose don't do it for fame and money. You've got to do it because you enjoy it. I started the United Stand as once a week, 8 o'clock show with 20 people watching. And we did it once a week. And I just enjoyed it. And we did that for about 6 months. And then we started doing 2 a week. And then it just grew from that. There was never any intention to do what we did. Here's the offside. Oh, he's on. Yeah, he's on by quite a bit. He's on by... Yeah, he's well on. I like this bit of advice as well. My real advice that I give to people in a one-to-one situation when they pay me is no, I don't really. Is I can't see it here. Somebody said it. Oh, fucking hell! Fancy missing it. It was a good. Oh, it was from Miguel. He says, offer something different and be personable. So many people. You know who I'm talking about. So many people literally copy what we do and try and copy what I do. But, yeah, be unique, be personable. Everybody who makes it and breaks through, if you think about like even in like the Sidemen arena, if you think about people like Danny Aarons, he's quite unique, isn't he? He's broke through in the last few years. God, I hate being ill. I hate being ill. Man flu. That's sexist, but actually I don't think it is. I think men are impacted differently to women. It disgusts me how the Prem refused this technology, says Kevin. Everybody is unique. United Menu, thank you very much for your super chat. Your first super chat on a stream, thank you very much. Why do they have this fancy VAR, says George? Because they paid for it and we didn't in the Premier League. Do you think Mbappe to Arsenal is best for him, says Kai? You think Mbappe's going to Real Madrid? I think we all know that. I don't think he's going anywhere. Oh. I tell you what, if PSG get another goal, it's going to be very interesting. I don't think they've got Dembele in the game enough. Ants TV, thank you for being a member. Donnarumma won't be happy with the third goal. I think he's a good goalkeeper, but he should have saved it. Average Noob says, can I feed you grapes? That's like a Roman emperor does that, don't they? Mark, you look like Todd from Breaking Bad. Pan says, if Osman leaves Napoli, Mbappe could go there. Not a chance. He's not going to go to bloody Napoli, is he? Dark says, I think Newcastle have been lucky. Well, I don't know. I think they were lucky in Milan. They never should have got a point there. But I think tonight, so much of it is about endeavour and confidence and atmosphere. And that's, that's what it should be all about, really. Still 0-0 between Dortmund and Milan, who are in this group. City are still 1-1 with Leipzig as well. Just looking at the City team tonight. They've absolutely dominated Leipzig as well. City's team tonight, obviously Rodri can play because he's suspended at the weekend. Vardy, Diaz, Walker, obviously Edison in goal, Akanji, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Lewis, Foden, Grealish, Haaland. They're dancing. Who would UEFA VAR be used in the Premier League next season, says Connor? Well, they might upgrade it, I suppose. They may upgrade it. One game, 1 minute, 1 moment, 1 moment. Still here. I'm still with you. I'm still watching the game. Just got some eye spray. My eyes are watering from the cold, so I'm just giving them a little bit of a cleansing spray. Oh, might look like I've cried for a minute, but I haven't. I'm just... There we go. Are there any games on tomorrow? If you're in the Europa League, there's plenty of games tomorrow. Thankfully, they don't... My brain doesn't register Thursday night football at the moment. Having said that, give it till February and my Thursdays won't be my own again. Can't believe the Prem refused the technology because of money, but they are happy to charge people £70 a month to watch 3 or 4 games a week. They are thieves, says Aga. Yes, I agree. Yeah, we'll be in. I mean, look, honestly, what else are United going to do? They've lost their first 2 games, one of them at home. We've got to play Bayern Munich at Old Trafford, which we won't win, so we'll lose that. So the maximum points United can get is 9. We're out. We're not going to the knockout stage of the Champions League, are we? Let's be honest. And people are saying we've only had 2 games, we can turn it around, but we're not going to beat Bayern Munich at Old Trafford. They're better than us, and you know we've got to beat Copenhagen twice, Galatasaray in Turkey, and probably get a draw out of Bayern. And that's just the cold harsh fact, because Galatasaray have got 4 points already, and you know I don't think they'll lose to us over there. So I think we're out. Not necessarily, definitely, but I think we're out. Liverpool VAR reminds me of Abu Dhabi 2021 in F1. Yeah, Aaron, that was a bloody injustice. Pisses me right off. That will never not piss me off, Aaron. That will never not piss me off. That was an absolute fucking joke. If you know, you know. Anyway, still half an hour to go here. Can PSG do it? They're going to lay siege to the goal here of Newcastle. And Newcastle are used to this. Of course they are. Riley says Max won fair and square. Yeah. Of course he did. The guy literally changed the rules in the final race, in the final few seconds of the race. Congratulations to Garnacho on the birth of his child, says Pally. Oh, that's good news. Okay. Roblox says, if you were a superhero, what would be your name? I think Goldbridge might be a quite good name in itself. I make bridges gold. Newcastle fans, quarter-final in the Champions League, but 8th place, or Europa League and top 4. What do you prefer? I'd keep an eye on Newcastle. I really would. I think that they are not being mentioned in relation to the top 6 at the moment, because you've got Spurs and Brighton and Villa and Arsenal and Liverpool and Man City. But I wouldn't write Newcastle off just because they had a difficult start to the season. Here we go. Nice ball over the top for Dembele. Side netting. He'll want to do better there. And he didn't. Excuse me. Should have warned you. I think he might have been offside, actually. God, you can get Ovaltine biscuits. can get it. Yo, I'm going down. So I haven't had Ovaltine for years. I'm gonna go and get some tomorrow. Definitely. Nothing's gonna stop me. No, another yellow card. Gordon. Gordon's alive. Should it have been a yellow? It's a bit of a scissor tackle, to be fair. I don't like scissor tackles. I think he knows what he's doing. I think sometimes this is what people need to realise. You can get the ball and it can still be a bad tackle. And people will go, yeah, like Curtis Jones on Saturday. I don't think that was a bad tackle. I don't think it was a red card at all. But I don't like the scissor tackle. And they know what they're doing when they do it. They know what they're doing when they do it. That is Gordon's 6th yellow card this season, says Johnny Evans. He's not as bad as bloody Jackson at Chelsea, is he? I mean, literally got a game ban for 5 yellow cards in 6 games. Madness. Absolute madness. What is your thoughts on Enrique sticking with 4-2-4 build-up and bringing Dembele and Mbappe back to help break the midfield blocks, says Dr. S? Oh, I like your tactical observation. I think it's dangerous against a well-organised side. Ultimately, the success of his system has been high possession. The failure of his system has been low chance creation. If you had to swap 3 United players for 3 Newcastle players, who would you choose, says Ben Elton? Good question. That's why I'm thinking. Right, okay, so I do like Marquinhos, and I think he'd be a good signing, and United do need a centre-back, so I'd consider him. I like Donnarumma as well. At this moment in time, I would swap Onana for Donnarumma. I like Donnarumma. I think he's a very good goalkeeper. I'd swap Marquinhos for Maguire, and I'd swap Mbappe for Sancho. Thank you very much. Business done. See you later. Oh, I've just done PSG, not Newcastle, haven't I? Twat. Newcastle. Anyway, I've done PSG. Let me do Newcastle. So Newcastle, I would swap. I don't know. I'd swap Tonali for McTominay. I'd swap Almiron for Sancho, and I'd swap Gomes for Donny. There you go. Done it. Easy peasy piss. Piece of piss. How many years do you think it will take before Newcastle actually end up on the same level as City, says Chris? I think there's still a little bit of a way off, because if you look at their purchases, Gordon, Barnes, people like that, they're not really what City would buy, are they? So they've gone from a relegation team, which is what Saudis bought, to a top 4 team, and I'd say they're sort of at the moment on the same level as a Spurs, and they need to go to Man City's level. So their next level is buying top level players, and they haven't quite done that yet consistently, probably because they're operating in the world of FFP, but they've definitely got the finances to do it. They just need to create the financial freedom to do it. So when they can start buying the Bellinghams and the people like that, that's when they'll start doing it. Replay the Spurs game. Are they not setting a standard to other games where decisions are wrong? As much as I would like it, feels like a can of worms, says Danny. Oh, Danny. Danny's a Liverpool fan who's turned up late. Danny, check out my tweet. Very, very quickly. I appreciate people are coming in and out. I know you're a Liverpool fan, and Danny is basically saying if we get a replay, it's opening up a can of worms because other people would want it. Absolutely not. What you're talking about there, Danny, is we want a replay because we should have got a penalty. We want a replay because we should have got a handball. What you're dealing with there is incompetence that is not done on purpose. So when Wolves should have got a penalty against Onana, they got an apology because it should have been a penalty, but on the pitch they didn't do it on purpose. They just didn't think it was a penalty. It was incompetence. Whereas for Liverpool, it was willingly incompetent. They knew it was a goal and they played on. So it's different. And this is what people aren't grasping. So if Liverpool got a replay and then Wolves said, we want one, they could quite rightly say, but yeah, you got an apology, but the referee and the VAR on that game didn't do it on purpose. And there's no evidence they did it on purpose. You can listen to the VARs. They just didn't think it was a penalty. It was incompetent. It was wrong, but they didn't do any, legally, they didn't do anything wrong. In the Liverpool-Spurs game, listen to the VAR. They knew it was a goal and they played on. So it's different. That's why, I'm not saying there should be a replay, but that's why it's different though. It's a lot worse. It's willing negligence. They knew it was a goal and they played on. In the Wolves game, if they knew it was a penalty and they went, don't give it to Wolves, that would be the same. United are 10th. Deal with it. Somebody said, are you outside the top 8? Yes, we are. 15 to go. Good little bit of play. They just can't get through the Newcastle rear guard at the moment. Objective versus subjective. Exactly. A lot of people are saying that. And that's what people like Gary Neville, Goldstein on TalkSport tonight, they haven't grasped. They're trying to be clever and going, well, everyone would get one. But they wouldn't. There's a very distinct legal difference between what happened to Liverpool and what happens when you should get something but you didn't. Gormless says PSG are dominating. Look at the stats. They're getting more shots, but they've only had one on target. They need a lot more. They need a lot more. I need to take some pills. I can feel myself starting to get hot. As a Spurs fan, I really wanted an even fight with Liverpool. The game got ruined. I'll take the 3 points, but I wanted to prove them wrong, says Jiminy. I tell you what, for Spurs though, Luton at the weekend, before anybody else plays, you're top of the league. What a great feeling. I mean, no one's talking about this. I mean, obviously there was the controversy, but it's not Spurs' fault. What did Spurs do wrong? Spurs didn't even get, to be told that, because Spurs could have said, well, we'll let them score a goal. But they didn't even have that information, so Spurs are completely innocent. But if Spurs beat Luton on Saturday lunchtime, 20 points, they're top of the league for at least 24 hours. Could be top of the league going into the international break. Unbelievable for Spurs. PSG on the break again. Newcastle keeping their shape. Back post is an option. Oh, it's just ahead of Mbappe there on the cutback. It's that final ball that PSG just can't get right. Won't everyone start asking for evidence after wrongdoing? I mean, how do we know what happened was a one-off till now? I bet it goes on more, says Nick. Yeah, good point. Kenneth said, did I hear a Scouser say we can't do anything? Was it an Everton fan, says Kenneth. Matt says, I'm from the future and Chelsea win the Premier League this season. You're not. You're from the past, mate. Chelsea ain't winning anything this year. Although they could win they could win a domestic cup. To be fair, they looked a lot better against Fulham. Goal for City. Alvarez. What a season Alvarez is having. Let him speak, Simon. Let him speak, Simon. Alvarez. What a season he's having. How many goals is that? United are even worse than Chelsea, says Rhea. All right, it's not a bloody competition. I didn't mention United. That's football. Have I mentioned United tonight? Have I brought United into this conversation once? I've only ever mentioned it when someone brings it into the chat. Did I say the words United are better than Chelsea? Did I fuck? He's having a very good season, Alvarez. What a signing. What do you think of Sonny as captain so far, says Jiminy. Is he injured? Is Son injured on the official? Is that an injury? Bam, bam. Not including City, who will win the Champions League, says Harry. Oh, right, yeah. Prediction. I was going to say, I think City will win the Champions League. If City don't win the Champions League, he's not injured. Okay, good. If City don't win the Champions League, who do I think will win it? Well, I would never rule Real Madrid out. I still think Bayern Munich, across the whole season, could get better. Free header for Gomes, straight at Donnarumma. Still creating chances. I don't think there's an English club capable of winning it other than Arsenal. I'd never rule Liverpool out, but they're not in it. So I've got to rule them out. But yeah, I think Man City will win it. Mark, I think personally we're in a bigger mess than Chelsea. They seem much more unified and together than us. And some of their best players are still out, says Simon Pinero. Thank you, Simon. And Bran says, Bran, you're welcome in the chat. I just don't agree with you being the king of Westeros. Rubbish. End to a very good series. What difficulty do you play EAFC on? I just started a manager mode with Wrexham. Any tips? I play on Legendary. It's tough. I've had to put a lot of extra work in off screen, specifically on defence. But it happened to me 2 years ago. I couldn't defend on FIFA 21. And it's the first thing you need to do. Learn to defend. It's different. Are you going to play the new Assassin's Creed games, says Havard? I've never played any of their games. Never played any of them. Oh, look at the pace there. Good tackle, though. He's had a good game, Lascelles. Champions League against PSG. No Botman. He's done well. So, Mark, your favourite wrestler is Bret Hart, but you also like Shawn Michaels. What is your favourite finisher then, if you have one? Well, it's either the sharpshooter or Sweet Chin Music. I do quite like the Tombstone, and I quite like the ankle lock from Ken Shamrock. You know the great thing about Ken Shamrock? I liked Ken Shamrock when he was in WWE. Sorry, in wrestling, Ken Shamrock, right? But in those days, MMA wasn't that popular. He was a fucking hard bastard MMA fighter, you know, Ken Shamrock. I've watched some of his fights back on YouTube. Proper hard guy. Bret the Hitman Hart. "83 minutes. It's looking good for Newcastle." Has anybody ever... this might be old age. Has anybody ever had this injury I've had for the last 8 months, right? I think it's from playing a lot of living room football, but literally sometimes my big toes crack into a position where it's agony. Like, it's absolute agony to move them. I mean, I'm bending them now. They're absolutely fine. But sometimes they just get into a position where they're absolute agony. Is it arthritis, Mark? Well, it might be. It's not cramp, it's like real pain. No, it's not cramp because I can be walking down the street and I can move my toe slightly and it's almost like it goes out of joint or something. People are saying it's gout. I don't drink red wine though. Yeah, it could be a muscle or a nerve. Mbappe shoots, goes wide. Too much masturbating. What, with my toes? I played a lot of living room football and it's mainly my left toe, right? If you look through my Instagram, you'll have seen it, right? I used to play a lot of living room football, and the problem with living room football is, if you can just see my toe there, trouble with living room football is sometimes you go to kick the ball, and because you're wearing socks, you go to kick the ball and you sometimes go over on the carpet and bend your toe right back. And I've had times where I've been in the bath and my toe is black around the joint. So I just think it's just too many injuries in living room football. Coffee tables are a nightmare as well. Chris says you normally have to pay for this type of content. Nobody does watch-alongs like us. We've not even spoken about polar bears or crisps tonight. Another shot over the bar. I think PSG will do them at Paris. But Newcastle are doing exactly what they need to do. Beat PSG, beat Dortmund, beat Milan, 10 points, you're through. They're on the road. They've got their 1 point away from home, win your 3 home games, 10 points, you're through. That's always what Sir Alex used to be. Win your home games, get 1 draw or something away from home and you're through. So Newcastle are on track at the moment. Gordon's performance has been good, says Kyle. Look, last season I didn't understand why they signed him. This season it's starting to make sense. Hazza says, what's your favourite Fast and Furious movie? Can I just shock you, Hazza? I've never watched a Fast and Furious movie. I might have flicked it on ITV2 and seen a couple of minutes. But I've never watched them. I've never watched it. It does not sail my boat. It's not. It's nie for me, man. It's nie for me. Another City goal. It's just not for me. Given that you enjoy FPL and how big the FPL community is, what do you think about 1 episode a week discussing it, says Shabano? I have thought about it, but what we might do is bring it into the podcast on the Friday show, because the Friday podcast is we do this little game called Goldbridge, where you get to guess. You get 5 people from the weekend that you think is going to score, and then so you can actually get more than 5 points, because if you said Alvarez and he scores 2 goals, you get 2 points. So we do that on the podcast on a Friday. Everyone can get involved. And I'm thinking about bringing a bit of an FPL little bit in there as well. So check out the podcast this week, because we're actually adding that in. The link's in the live chat for the podcast, by the way. Goldbridge Saves Football. Please do give it a listen and support it. It's only started at the start of the season. It's doing quite well. We're giving away some EAFC codes on Friday as well. So please do support it. If you like That's Football, it's a general football podcast done differently with the same sort of style we use on here. So please do support it. Links in the live chat. You can give it a download and give it a listen. Be really appreciated. Danny says, $1 million dream best finisher, Ten Hag or Poch to go first before the new year. Love the content even as a 30-year-old Liverpool fan. Danny. I don't think Poch or Ten Hag will go before New Year, to be honest. What skill that was by Mbappe. And he's given a foul. Mbappe's like, what did I do? Well, he did barge into him. AC Milan versus Dortmund 0-0. That's a good result, I think. Well, it is a good result for Newcastle. You don't want... you know that PSG are going to qualify, so if the others aren't winning, good. Lazio have scored. I think that's bad news for Celtic. If it's true... Well, no, it still was 1-1 to me in the 5th minute of added time. Surely not. Surely Celtic haven't conceded late on. That would be horrible for Celtic. We've got no confirmation on that at the moment. They have. Ab says they have. Osman or Haaland, says Shiri. Haaland. Mark, what do you think about Ronaldo having 36 goals in 2023? Says It's Achilles. Well, I just think about what league he's done it in, unfortunately. I mean, since when was the Saudi League championed as the place to go and score 30 goals? Lazio have scored, but there's talk that it might be offside. What was your favourite wrestling duo? Legion of Doom. What a rush. You know, with the big spikes. I loved Legion of Doom. Animal and Hawk. Wouldn't be surprised if they're both dead. Most wrestlers are dead. Oh my God. Shaw has just scored an absolute worldie. What a goal that is. Absolutely fantastic. Well, Newcastle are just in dreamland. What a hit. That is incredible. What a result. You know what? They should frame this. I mean, I think Newcastle's trajectory under Saudi ownership is going to go through the roof. But you can't say tonight is because of Saudi ownership. Still, PSG would be a lot higher than them. And that is just incredible, especially when you look at the stats. They've had 27% possession and they've won 4-1. You know, the stat hipsters are in the bin. And very good tackle, plays a little 1-2, gets it back. It's incredible. It's a really cracking goal. I mean, it really is. You know what I hope? I hope the Qatari ownership at PSG are absolutely furious with Saudi Arabian Newcastle and are thinking, I know how we sort you out. We buy Man United and screw you over. That's what I'm hoping for. But what a goal that is by Shah. It's a, you know what? There's a mug in that for Newcastle. Get your mugs out. Get your DVDs out. That is a special night. There might be more to come. But there ain't many nights where you're going to go and win 4-1 against PSG. It's incredible for them. You've got to say, enjoy it. You've got to say, enjoy it. Aaron, I don't do Rangers or Celtic. I really don't. Mark, let's debate Wilfried Zaha. You stroke. Nah, Phil, you're talking shit, mate. I'm not a 5-year-old. Stop trying to be fucking edgy with jokes that belong in nursery school. I liked the Rockers, Manchester United, yes. Thanks everyone who's tuned in tonight, by the way. It's been a cracking game. I mean, I've been probably a little bit below my normal levels because I don't feel great. But thanks everyone who's been watching. Make sure you subscribe, by the way. Bottom right-hand corner. Alan Shearer's looking happy. Looks a bit of a prat with his cap on. Probably thinks he looks like a Peaky Blinder. Looks like a prat. But, you know, obviously a Newcastle legend. We can't deny that. Got a good podcast as well. Yeah, make sure you subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner. Next watch-along. I'm definitely doing a double watch-along on Sunday, but we have daily content on here anyway. Let's not forget, there's daily content. Get involved. Subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner. Lovely, lovely game of football. Really has. But there's no way back. There's no way back here for Newcastle. For PSG. They've been absolutely battered. They can't come back. Straight into the kitchen for a lem sip. Back of the net. People say I don't live a rock and roll lifestyle. Get the kettle on. Lem sips are on me. Get that Netflix on as well. We're not chilling. It's Netflix and David Beckham's documentary tonight. Netflix, David Beckham's documentary, and a cup of Lemsip. Doesn't get much better than that, Mrs. Goldbridge. Doesn't get much better than that. Legion of Doom are both dead, says Matt. It's official. It's official. Legion of Doom, both dead. Hawk and Animal. Joining them 2 squirrels this week. Lots of squirrels are dying. We're trying to get to the bottom of that. The squirrel mysteries. The squirrel murder mysteries. Apparently it's their mating season and they're all running across the road to get some. Not going to get food. They're going for a bit of... how's your father? Mark, how wonderful oil money is. United needs some, says Pre. Thank you very much, mate, for your super chat. Who wins, a polar bear or an alligator? Well, it depends if they're swimming around in a pond. Duncania says, this is what Qatari ownership gets you. 5 minutes added on, 5 minutes have been played. He's ready to blow his whistle. He's not going to blow it yet. My nose is the problem. It's running like a tap. No alligators beating a polar bear, says Jack. No hippos beating a polar bear either. I'll die on that thing. Imagine a 3-way. Triple threat. In a cage. Polar bear. Hippo. And Goldbridge. And I'm allowed a weapon. Newcastle have won. I've won as well. Put me in a 3-way with a hippo, a polar bear in a cage. And I'm allowed 1 weapon and it can't be a gun. Oh, that makes it interesting. You'll think about that tonight. I like problems that are thinkable. So, I can't have a gun. I can't have anything that projects. So, I can't have a bow and arrow. I can't have a crossbow. I can't have a flamethrower. And I can't have a gun. Grenade's going to kill us all. I mean, that might be better than being... Actually, if I had a grenade, I'll just drop it probably close to me. I'll hold it till the last minute. I'll say, come on then, start biting on my arm. You can have an arm each. It's going to hurt my arms, but you're not getting my body. Boom, shakalak. No, what weapon would I really have? I'll tell you what. The problem is if they both went for me, I'm screwed. But if the polar bear and the hippo fancy a bit before me, I'll win. Samurai sword. Samurai sword. Or a lightsaber. Do they exist? But I would win with the samurai sword. The trouble is if they both attack me at the same time, I'd have to sort of like, you're going to struggle. It would be... It depends how intelligent the polar bear and the hippo is. Because if you started in a cage and you're in 3 corners, or an octagon, if the polar bear and the hippo go for me first, it doesn't matter what I've got. One of them's going to get me. But if there's a bit of a standoff, I'll win. I would definitely beat a polar bear and a hippo with a samurai sword. Trust me. So would you. Because it doesn't matter what it does. If it runs towards me, as long as I don't shit myself and swing, they're bloody sharp. And as I swing at the polar bear, it might not kill it, but it's going to go ow, and then I'm going to fucking hit it again. Trust me. I'm not going to try it out because things could go wrong, but hypothetically. Sport, thank you very much. Anyway, well done to Newcastle. I've overthought that. I get excited about those sort of scenarios. I like either ors. I like scenarios like that. It's like somebody said, to me, a polar bear against a hippo against me with a samurai sword is like saying bench, keep or sell Saka, Rashford and Grealish. I love these sort of conversations. Chainsaws are a bit... Chainsaws not... I've used a chainsaw. They're not as quick as a samurai sword. Trust me. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Imagine Newcastle have changed their board, completely changed their game, and now beating PSG 4-1. Need some of that open heart surgery, says Lewis. Thanks, mate. Please subscribe to the channel And as a special, please do download the podcast. The link is in the live chat. Give it a listen. Your support is really appreciated. If you like That's Football, then I think you'll like the podcast. So give it a listen. I'll speak to you tomorrow on some platform or other, whether it's this or United Stand or the podcast. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching. Legends.